afternoon. I thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity. Gautam and Rupinder have been instrumental in me being with you this afternoon. Welcome to this session of kyphoplasty. Initially, it's a few minutes of a small presentation to get acquainted with the procedure, following which there is a video which is self-explanatory with a voiceover. I am Dr. Kalidatta Das from the Indian Spinal Injury Center, New Delhi. I will be speaking to you on kyphoplasty, which is a minimal invasive spinal procedure to treat progressive vertebral compression fracture. We'll use the term VCF or OCF. It involves injecting of high viscosity bone cement in a freshly created vertebral body cavity under low pressure. Now, when there is a increasing amount of geriatric people, they will but often have a fall, which leads to an osteoporotic fracture. It is the change in biomechanics and the fear of falling which creates this fracture, because of which there is increasing progression of kyphosis, leading to a change in the quality of activities of daily living and leading to depression in these patients. The indications of kyphoplasty varies from stabilization of a progressive osteoporotic fracture to metastasis or multiple myeloma in Kuhlman's disease and painful hemangiomas. We need to also understand the contraindications where it should not be done. In case we are not sure of the pain indicators, which is the primary source of pain, if there is osteomyelitis or systemic infection, if the posterior wall of the canal is breached, or there are retropus fragments in the canal, or if there is an epidural extension of tumor, these are not the ideal cases where a kyphoplasty or injection of cement is considered. Following a change or following 6 weeks of failed conservative treatment, a unipedicular or a bipedicular process of kyphoplastic or cementing can be thought of. There are other less known and less used options are there in an osteoporotic spine. They are posterior stabilization with surface coated screws, with segment augmented screws, expandable screws, and screws with sublaminar hooks and lamina. We shall get familiar with the instruments that are used. We have a working cannula, we have a BFT, we have a drill, and these are the guide wires for understanding the positioning. On the other hand, we have a syringe on which there is the cement which is loaded, and there are max to tell you how much of cement has been injected. We have a pressure gauge, a long tube, and a connector to which the balloon is connected. Now, this is a type of kyphoplasty and a picturization of how to start, what the inflated balloon looks like, and a schematic diagram of the kyphoplasty and balloon in situ. To see the balloon, an oil dye is used so that it is radio opaque. The anesthesia that is preferred in these patients is a local sedation, local anesthesia. The complications of general anesthesia is avoided if we do not use general anesthesia. These patients are coupled with comorbidities. For in these patients, it is best not to use general anesthesia. To start the preparation or the process of kyphoplasty, the patient is supposed to be able to sleep on his stomach or in a prone position for around 20-25 minutes, which is approximately the duration of the procedure that takes place. Once the patient is positioned, some amount of local anesthesia and sedation is given, and the C arm is put in place. The patient is positioned on bolters. The position itself reduces the fracture, which is the ultimate goal of filling the cleft or the cavity that has been created by the balloon. Once the position of the patient is prone, we need to take a AP in which the pedicle is visualized to us in form of two circle wherein we obliterate or compensate if there is any rotation in the vertebral body. The lateral image is taken such that The upper end plate and the lower end plate are in one synchronous line, and this is a true lateral where the whole length of the pedicle is visible. The points to remember in AP lateral is one, which corresponds to the lateral border of the pedicle, in the AP view, which corresponds to the beginning of the pedicle in the lateral view. The second point corresponds to the middle of the pedicle, both in the AP and lateral view. The medial border of the pedicle in the AP view corresponds with the medial entry of the or the joining of the posterior border of the body and the pedicle. This is the most tricky part. If these points do not correspond, most probably you are not in the right trajectory. The guide wires supplied to us are marked on the skin in form of 1 centimeter lateral to the pedicle and bisecting the pedicle in the horizontal view. The Jamshedi is used as a starter to check at every point. The center point of the pedicle is the point number 2, which corresponds to the center and the beginning of the posterior body. This is a right position. Once we have the working cannula in place, we put the drill. This acts in two processes, makes a smooth passage for the balloon to go in, and also the bone that is there can be removed for biopsy or for histopathology. This is how the balloon looks like. These two markers correspond to the position of the balloon. It should be placed in the middle of the body of the vertebrae or below the fracture so as to lift the fracture to an extent, creating a trabecular mesh. In the AP, once the radio opaque filled balloons are inflated, they look like goggles meeting each other so as to understand the passage of cement from each vacuum area, creating a bridge. This is how it laterally looks. It should be 3 to 5 millimeters from the subchondral bone above and below, thus not breaching the end plates. Once it is full, we have a spectacle like image with the bone filling the center of the fracture. The consistency of the cement when injected is like a toothpaste. When small amount of pressure is put into the plunger, the cement rises up rather than falling down. What are the end points of the inflation of the balloon? The reduction of fracture, which is visualized in the lateral, is visualized. The maximum balloon pressure, which goes up to 300 plus in the vertebral body, should not be crossed. The cortical walls should be in contact, and the cement volume should be approximately 2 to 5 ml as per requirement, and it should be in the vertebral cavity. The ideal amount of cement has not been substantiated, and it is anywhere between 2 to 10 ml, and the patient is not moved until the cement is cured or hard. Things to keep in mind: the streak of cement, if not set, and the plunger or the BFT or the cement tube is removed, can leave a tail which is called a rat tail. There are some special techniques that experienced people use. It is an eggshell ballooning cementoplasty, in which liquid cement is initially inserted, after which the balloon is inflated, creating a space. Once this space hardens or forms an artificial wall of cement, the second set of cement is now infiltrated. The right hand side picture B shows us a process of kyphoplasty with ballooning technique wherein cement has spread around and now the solid cement is to be put. The mechanism of pain relief is not well understood, but there is substantial amount of relief of pain after the cementing procedure. The complications: there could be spinal cord or nerve root injury, pulmonary embolism, transverse process or the pedicle fracture. There could be hematoma, epidural abscess, and sedation related complications. We will go through this small presentation, which is self explanatory. The patient has been positioned, the guide wires have been checked. Now the cannula or the working cannula has been put. The surgeon is now drilling the drill, which is checked on AP and lateral. Both the films are now substantiated and correlated with the C-arm, which is positioned in lateral. Care needs to be taken that the anterior cortex is not breached. We see here the passing of a biopsy instrument, and this also has a nozzle which on clicking changes from 30 to 90 degrees to create a space. This is the balloon which is passed through the working cannula. The beads of the balloon were visualized on the lateral view of the body of the vertebrae, wherein you can see both the balloons identically corresponded. Now, under strict observation of the pressure gauge that we have, the balloons are inflated and repeatedly checked. The pressure that we see here is 85. If it is a osteoporotic bone, there will be sudden increase in pressure, but once you keep the balloon in place, the pressure starts falling because the osteoporotic trabeculae gives way. The cement that has been prepared takes approximately 6 to 8 minutes, depending upon the handling and the room temperature of the operating theater. Care is taken while the cement is put in. The anesthetist is given an instruction to start an F-choline or a steroid when the cement goes in, along with which repeated lateral views are taken to see that the cement does not extravagate onto the disc spaces or posteriorly to the canal. Once satisfactory amount of cement has been injected, we wait and use an empty BFT plunger to tap on the cement to see if it is hard. Once the cement is set, both the needles are removed, and that is the end of the procedure. Patient is generally kept on the table for a little time, sent back to the room, and can be immediately mobilized after 1.5 hours. It was lovely presenting to you this afternoon. I thank people involved in making this presentation, and a special note of thank goes to my team members and Rupinder Chahal, from whom this video that I presented was borrowed. Thank you so much. Have a good day.